I always believe that the essence of the standards is what I'm trying to achieve. So when it came to a class, for an example, this electrical class, I always think that they have to understand safety. They have to understand how to use the theories and laws of physics into electricity. They have to understand technical communication. So what I try to do is make sure that they understand the essence of what the course content is going to look like or is, so that they have a better understanding how this will relate to the real world, that they will eventually become a worker. So things like safety. What happens if you get hurt on the job? You know, you won't be able to get paid. The employer has to pay a higher workman's comp. So safety is important. Understanding the skills, working with the different types of materials, test equipment, tools. They need that type of knowledge so that they will be more equipped to be successful in the workplace. Well, I always believe that not only is the content important, but the students being able to critical think, solve problems, collaborate with each other. That's why I put them in groups, because in the real world, if you can't work as a team, it's very difficult to be successful out there. And also the problem solving. You know, there's lots of careers out there that if you can't problem solve, likelihood you're not going to be able to be very successful. So one of the things that I try to do is make sure they have the ability to problem solve, and by providing them more problem solving activities, I think they get better at it. For most parts, CTE itself is an organization that is equipped to help teachers provide students with the knowledge and skills of industry standards. And so what I really use in a lot of my classes is partnerships. That's the organizations that I think I like to build in the classroom, because that brings the relevant, the rigor into the curriculum. Well, if you kind of notice, the kids are on task, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but yet, you know, as a teacher, you got to keep the motivation going. So my job is more of not really worrying about the discipline, but getting them involved. Once they're involved, the likelihood that you're going to have discipline problems really is reduced, because they're engaged, they're active learners, and that's hopefully what I try to do to, you know, resolve the behavior problem. Having them in groups really gets them engaged in critical thinking, problem solving. It really also gives me, you know, it identifies whether or not they are learning the standards that is targeted. Based upon the response, you can see that they have achieved the standards, but there is much more work to be, you know, involved in getting them to the point that they will be ready for the next level. So yes, it's good, but at the same time, like anything else, I think there's always room for improvements. They could actually see, based upon what they're learning in the classroom, how this can transpire to the real world. And I think that's what we need to get them to understand. There's a connection, there's a relevance, but yet it was rigorous enough that made them think what they're doing in class, how much they have learned also. So it was a self-assessment. So I think for the kids, for myself, it was a good task in which they worked on trying to solve a real world problem. The one aspect that I thought could have been improved on, and I'm not saying it's the only thing, but what I saw was that they needed to have the resources there available for them to research, to come up with solutions that would be best for the problem at hand. So instead of just talking as a group, if they worked as a group and had the resources available, whether it be computer, whether it be a textbook, whether it be some of the work that they had, I think that will give them the tools for come up with better solutions. And really, that's what we want them to be able to do: come up with the best possible solution. So I think that's one of the areas that I would really consider of doing, implementing in this type of